All right. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. More people are coming into the room. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Right.
Woo-hoo!
All right. Hey, we are going to get underway here. And gosh, here in Michigan, we've already had our complaints. And geez, look at Dave. Dave is already outside in this weather. We'll come around to you later, David, and have you talk about the weather. I know what you're involved with out there. But hey, guys, we want to start going around the horn here. We've got a real special treat. I was talking with Carol, and for those that were in last week's, we had quite a segment on vitamin D. And I know personally, I really learned a lot with that. And there's more to learn. And so I asked if Carol could perhaps spend a little bit more time on some vitamin D topics. And if that's okay with you, Carol, I'm going to turn it over to you in sunny Sarasota, Florida. We are very envious in our rain and gloomy 40-degree weather here in Michigan.
Ooh. Okay,
So good morning,
reminds
Carol.
me. Reminds me of when I moved to Florida, huh?
Right.
Well, it's beautiful here, and unfortunately, here comes the truck. Sorry about the timing on this. It was quiet. Anyway,
worries.
I don't want to take a lot of time because we want to hear from everybody. We want to hear from as many people as we can because that's what this is all about. But I did want to say that, yeah, just kind of off the cuff last week, I started talking about vitamin D and its importance. And Hank and I have always taken a lot of vitamin D just because I'm a small stature Caucasian woman and I wanted to always maintain great bone health. And vitamin D is really, really important in the transportation of your calcium, the synthesis of it, to be able to for the body to use it. And one thing I love about the Nutrilite supplements when they put things together is they put them in balance with other things so that the utilization is really, really top. And so you'll never usually just see one vitamin, you'll see something, bioflavonoids with it or something else with it. Well, it's the same with the vitamin D. And it's important when the calcium comes into your system that is being utilized properly. And in particular, actually, I asked Amway Corporation about this too. And they confirmed that when they put the K2, which is a synergistic vitamin that goes along with the D3, the K2 is very important because what it does is it takes the calcium out of the bloodstream and it synthesizes it properly and gets it into the bones, into the immune system, into where it needs to work. So when you have a product that is perhaps a D2, which is the prescription synthetic D, there's no comparison to our D3, which is a natural form with the K2. So I really want to impress upon folks about that. And there's two things. One that I don't think I even touched on last week, and that is the importance in heart health, because what happens in our arteries, we get little snags, little tiny snags. I learned this years ago from a Nutrilite specialist. And what happens is when the calcium's in the bloodstream, it's easy for it to get caught up in these snags. And when they get caught up, if they're not synthesized, moved, and utilized, that can cause the formation of the hardening of the arteries or calcification of arteries. And we don't want that. Anybody that's ever had any heart issues, it's really important to know that you want to get that calcium into the bones where it belongs and into your system being utilized. So that's just one thing I learned. The other thing is when you get into bones, there's two factors. There's something called osteoclasts and osteoblasts, C and B. And I'm a very simpleton when it comes to, you'll notice this in my presentation versus Eric's. Eric is very, very knowledgeable, very high end. On the other hand, I tell in stories or simplicity because that's just the way I posture things or I absorb things. So anyway, when we get to the bone, there's two processes. There's the osteoblast and the osteoclast. Both of them have to occur. They do not occur when you're taking a synthetic D2, especially because there's no K3 in there. So I think of clasts as C, cleaning. So osteoclasts clean out dead, old bone from your bone structure, leaving room for pockets of nutrients to come in to form blasts. B, building. So osteoblasts build new bone, osteoclasts remove dead bone. Now what happens in your prescription Ds, your D2, is it actually prevents that. It not only doesn't do it, it prevents it. And their philosophy in a prescription drug is we want to hold on to this bone. We don't want to lose bone. You know, bone mass, we want to keep our bone. Well, that's true. But what happens is if you don't get rid of the old, dead, dry bone and replenish it with new, fresh, healthy, young, new bone, what you're going to end up with is bone that is dry and brittle. And that's what happens with a lot of these prescription drugs or D2, not to be hitting on that, but it is what it is. It actually prevents that cleaning out process to allow for the new to come in. And because I am a very right brain person, I kind of compare this to a palm tree, palm trees. We got palm trees all around us. So I'm constantly reminded of the flexibility of a palm tree. When we have high winds, the palm trees just kind of float back and forth because they're very resilient. And the only way a palm tree is going to go down is if it's struck by lightning or the wind is so strong that it takes the whole palm tree and lifts it, uproots it. But it usually doesn't break. And that's because the bones or the core of the palm tree is very supple and resilient. And that's the same thing with our bones. When we are remodeling them and bringing in new fresh, it's like a palm tree versus an oak tree. Now, I remember when I lived up north, we had a lot of oak trees. Oak trees are very hard. They're very old. But let me tell you, if a wind comes through, they'll break. The branches will break off because they're dry and brittle and they're very old. And they basically, to compare it, have old bones. And this is why people, especially as they get older, break their bones because they're working with old, dry, brittle bones, which society tells us is hard bone. And they tell us this is great bone. Well, it's not great. You need to have soft. Your children's bones are very soft and flexible. And that's what we want to do is maintain our bones in the same way. So I don't want to bore you with this, but I thought it was kind of interesting to understand what the differences is. And it took science probably 10, 20 years to realize that when they started formulating way back in the early 1900s, when they started formulating D2, it wasn't working like D3, which is cod liver oil back in those days, where you got your D3, your omegas. And they found out it wasn't working, but they said, well, that's very minimal. So back in the 40s, the World Health Organization said, we're not going to pay any attention to that. So most public doesn't understand the difference. So in a nutshell, that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. I hope I didn't confuse you guys. And Eric, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
No, you definitely didn't confuse at all. In fact, I'm just speak for myself here, that was extremely valuable for me. I need to get this, continuation of the education on vitamin D. It's amazing that we haven't talked as much about it to date in these walk and talks, because this is so critical. I mean, who knows somebody that has really had a real downturn in their life, particularly if they're older, and then they have a falling accident, a trip and fall or something like that, and then they are slow to recover. They break a bone, a hip, a femur or something like that, and then they're slow to recover. So,
Yeah.
and I love your metaphors and your visual learning aids there, and kind of your, I guess not an acronym, but the osteoclast and osteoblast, and the osteoclast again with the cleaning, the osteoblast with the building, and then your metaphor with the palm tree and the oak tree. That totally makes sense to me. So I would say, in my mind, and just correct me if I'm wrong or fill in some gaps here. So let's compare and contrast with, say, a vitamin D2, which a lot of people get prescribed from if it's a prescription D2, versus the Neutralite vitamin D3 with K2, correct? Is that kind of the distinction between the two categories of products on the marketplace? Ours is a mushroom based Neutralite vitamin D3 with K2, and then the other category that is not our product, but is often a prescribed vitamin D, is a prescription vitamin D2. Do I have that correct?
Yes, you do. And one other quickie is that your D3 also improves balance and muscle control. And what is the reason people fall is because they get imbalanced. And so we've been big proponents of perfect water, which improves your balance, but also your vitamin D will do the same thing. And it's like a quick recovery, so you don't fall, and just muscle control. It enhances muscle control.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what is, we talked last week about and joked about how, people will often say, well, I'm out in the sun, I get some vitamin D from that. We talked about, these days, a lot of people, when they go out in the sun, the only thing that's not covered up is like a pinky finger and the tip of their nose. Everything else is covered up.
Yep.
So you're actually not getting any sunlight. But even with that, we talked about the importance of vitamin D supplementation, no matter what area of the country you live in, pretty much 12 months out of the year. And can you, and I know last week we talked about a number of things in terms of recommended daily allowance or keeping within the average range versus the optimal range. I know you weighed in on this. I know Erica, who does a lot with brain health, really weighed in on how many international units are recommended. And it was definitely more than what is, kind of the minimum daily requirement type of a thing. So any kind of best practices in terms of proper quantities of the vitamin D3 with K2 product? And also along with that, if I could throw this into, is also the calcium magnesium, if you want to touch on that at all.
Okay, well, the calcium magnesium with vitamin D is a great product for adding additional calcium to your system. And the magnesium utilizes, again, works synergistically along with the vitamin D to utilize that calcium and get it into the bones where it needs to be. And I think the big difference is, if you are taking a synthetic, and this is according to Dr. Goldstein, if you're taking a synthetic, you have to be careful of toxicity. That's D2. And if you get toxic, it can be hard on your liver. So I hear, but you're talking about a synthetic. You're talking about a lab form. You're not talking about Mother Nature form that works together synergistically. I've heard many doctors. There's Dr. Pendergast out of Henry Ford Hospital, does a great audio on that, a video. many of the doctors that we've discussed, Dr. Goldstein, and they all say when you're taking a natural supplement of vitamin D, you do not have to worry about toxicity because it's a natural ingredient. I always say, start with what it says on the container, which I think it says take 1 tablet, which is 2,000 units. And then you can work up. Now, Hank and I, personally, because of, we've dealt with COVID for the last number of years. It's a great immunity builder. And I want my immunity up. We got 4 trips between now and January on planes. We want our immunity up. So we're going to take a lot of vitamin D. We're not so, I don't think in the 50 years almost that we've taken Nutrilite, have I ever had a toxic reaction to anything in the Nutrilite line. And trust me, we take a lot of Nutrilite. So that's a personal choice. But I would say the RDA that they give you is an individual flat out thrown on a couch, totally quiet. That's your RDA. Well, who lives like that? So I say, for me, I just add, I think I take 4 a day. I think Hank takes 5 a day. There's three things that we have in our line that you might want to check out. One of them is vitamin D3 with K2, the one we've talked about. The second one is the calcium magnesium that comes from seaweed. Very good product. Both very affordable. And the third one is bone health. And bone health is actually packets. And they have the calcium, magnesium, the vitamin D, and an ingredient, a tablet called Bone Guard. The only way you can get Bone Guard is through the bone health packets. And that has pomegranate and various other nutrients. Absolutely nutrition for your bones, antioxidants for your bones. Very good. So those are 3 things you can check, and then you have to make your own educated decision. All I'll tell you is what we do. And praise God, never had a broken bone. So, and I don't think I'm toxic. I might be toxic, but not in
No, we like your kind of toxicity. That's awesome. So this has been so great. So wow, great stuff on vitamin D. Real quickly, you mentioned the Henry Ford Hospital doctor, and I did catch a name. I know about Dr. Goldstein, really great resource material out there. I read the recent article from her. And you mentioned the Henry Ford Hospital doctor. Who was that?
Is that Pendergast? Pendergast, I believe is how you spell it.
Okay.
And it's a really good one. He's the one that talks about 10,000 units a day of natural vitamin D. A lot of your doctors will talk that. I think Dr. McCosey talks about that same amount. So that's why we feel confident in putting our trust in these types of doctors. I also want to say Dr. Goldstein puts out some magnificent articles. This is where I got the original vitamin D article. Her stuff is very good. And what I like about her is she explains it in a more technical term, using technical terms. But then at the end of each paragraph, it's like, which means, and then she puts a little paragraph that the rest of us can understand. And you can print each one of these articles off. So they're great reference pieces.
Excellent. Well, that's great. And so I'll kind of do that role just for the sake of my own way of learning. So what I'm hearing here in a nutshell, if I kind of summarize it in my mind, or way my mind works, is first of all, we have the great comfort of knowing that we've got the Nutrilite behind any of these products that we're talking about. So, this is a multi-billion-dollar operation. This is a multi-decade operation. This is a teams of scientists, more PhDs than you can shake an acerola stick at, and like literally the center of optimal health, and might I add, open to the public, and many of us will be visiting that facility in January, the Nutrilite facility. So we've just got, this is not some, somebody mixing up a batch of something in their mom's basement type of situation. This is the Nutrilite Corporation. So there's going to be great confidence in the science and the rigor behind that brand that we all used. And then if I kind of compare and contrast it to the vitamin D2 and taking Dr. Goldstein's run through of this and some of the visual help with you, kind of the way I thought of it as you were to explain the tree metaphor, Carol, is we all have seen like the old dead trees, and maybe it's been hit by woodpeckers quite a bit, there's bark falling off of it, but it's still standing, right? And it's still there, but it's old, it's brittle. And in a natural world, that tree falls away and a new tree sprouts up. If I understand it, basically, in my mind, vitamin D2 and kind of that notion of we just want to harden the bones. It's like coming into that old, dead woodpecker, beaten up, barkless tree and saying, let's infuse this tree with some ingredients to try to keep this thing standing. It's old, it's brittle, but we're going to try to kind of hold it together, glue it together and keep it going. But the reality is when you do that, you make it, first of all, if it's not the process that should be occurring, you kind of want to get rid of that. And that's the osteoclast program, part of it. And you want to rebuild with new supple, in this metaphor, trees, or in our case, bones. And so you don't want this old forest tree that's woodpecker ridden, beat up, just calcified and still trying to stand, because it's vulnerable. It gets hit, it shatters, it hits, it breaks, it's brittle. So that's kind of how I think of things. And then beyond that, people can do their own research, look at products, look at content that's out there by Dr. Pendergast, Dr. Goldstein, and also on our website there's tons of material on there. So what a great segment on vitamin D. Really was needing another segment like this. I know we talked about it last week, but that is awesome. Unless there's any other quick hits on that, Carol, I'm going to go around the horn. Anything else? And again, thank you so much for going through that. You know so much about it, and it's just awesome that you're sharing this with us. Anything else?
No, I want to hear from the other folks.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there we have it. Thank you, Carol. And we are going to go around and I'm going to next, Billy, I want you to tease us with the Texas weather forecast for a number of us that are here in Michigan. How are you doing, Billy?
I'm doing great, just fine this morning. Glad to be on the call. Hope everybody doing fine. The weather here is great. Like I say, it get up into the highs 80, 85 or 90. In the morning time, it would be around about 75, about 70 degrees, something like that. But up in the day, we get up into the almost 90 in the 80s. But anyway, it was a thought that I had just want to run by the Swedish that I want to say that this morning, that I eat the vitamin D. In fact, I love all the vitamins. I eat the vitamins all the time, but my mind goes back about 4 years ago. I went to the VA for a checkup because I'm a veteran. And what they did, they draw some blood. And after they draw the blood, they analyze it, and they find out that at that time, about 4 years ago now, that my cholesterol was sort of high, HDL and the other one. So what I did was what the doctor told me, that she told me some of the complications that it can do. Otherwise, she's telling me that she told me that my cholesterol being high, that I can have a stroke, I can have a heart attack. Yes, I could die if I don't control it and bring it down. And I said to myself, I haven't reached my dream yet. I ain't ready to die. So what I did was, what she suggested, she wanted to put me on medication. And I said, at that time, I said, no, I don't care. I don't want no medication right now. Let me work on Billy. So what I did, I made some changes, continued taking my vitamin, my Nutrilite vitamin. I continued to eat proper. I had to change my diet. I would continue to take exercise. So when I went back in 6 months from then, they draw some more blood. When they draw some blood that time, my cholesterol was down. It was normal. Let me tell you like that, you know. So she liked that. Then she asked me a lot of questions. What did I do? But anyway, it's just the idea that I had to reach my dream, so I'm not ready to die, and I want to have a good time. So everything's great. I appreciate Erin and all of you all. I'm learning a whole lot from you all, and it's just fantastic. So that's all I got to say this morning. Thank you.
That's great. That's great, Billy. And yeah, most of us get it, you know, our annual blood work at a minimum. You know, and also, guys, you know, there's great opportunities these days through various services to be able to get, you know, blood work easily. You know, get a kit, get a phlebotomist. Actually, could come to your home, or you can go into a lab and you can get a lab work that is, you know, much more data than would be in your typical annual blood exam. And so I'll just throw that out there as well. There's some really great platforms for that. So we are going to continue around the horn, and we're going to go, as I refer to her as a step queen, Kathy, and then we'll go to Emily, my wife, if she's available, and then Bruce and Eileen, if you'd like to speak. And anybody that does want to speak, because we're growing in this group, we're going to get, unfortunately, we definitely can't get around to everybody anymore, which is great. But if you do ever want to say anything, you can push the hand raise or hit me up on chat, and I'll be sure to call on you. But at this point, I'm going to go around the horn to Kathy, then Emily, then Bruce and Eileen, and then to Hank, and see where we're at on time frames at that point. So Step Queen, Kathy, a little history on your pounds down, and then what you're up to today.
Okay, good morning. So it's 58. Hold on one second. Eric, I had to have you connect me to my phone because I realized my iPad was at 10% and I didn't want to lose. That's why I quickly grabbed the phone. So anyway, now that's off, so I don't hear myself twice. So 58 pounds, it will be 5 years in January that I lost that, and I've kept it off the entire time, even during COVID. And I want to caveat that because during COVID, you know, so many people just gave up on everything. And I was just like, I was hell-bent. I wasn't going to get it. I wasn't going to get sick. And I just continued to do pretty close to 10,000 steps as much as I could every day. I worked the whole time during COVID remote, but I worked the whole time. And I just still continued eating my Nutrilite vitamins, getting my steps, drinking my water, and trying to stay as true to HealthPointe as I could within reason. So it works, obviously. And today is 1 year, 197 days of 10,000 steps consecutively every day. So, and probably I told Eric earlier, we're half season ticket holders of the Red Wings. So we're going down to the opening night tonight and also do my grocery shopping today. And usually I get around 3,000 to 4,000 in right now. So usually on those kind of game days, I'll probably end up with close to 15,000 just by walking around the arena, getting there and then getting in and around the arena. So it should be a real eventful step day for me today. But yeah, and as I've said before, it is who I am now. I can't imagine not seeing my Fitbit at 10,000 or not, Fitbit, correct myself, Apple Watch, not seeing my Apple Watch at 10,000 steps by the end of the day. You know, yesterday, I think I got home from work and I had like 8,500 and I was like, oh, I only have 1,500 to go. Okay, cool. Cause I kicked out like over 5,000 at lunch because I just was walking like really fast because it was really cold in the lobby. And I was just walking fast, trying to stay warm because it's the only place in the world that heat does not rise is the RISA building. I'm on the 3rd floor and I freeze all day. So, and I tell everybody that too, you know, and they laugh, but then they walk upstairs like, oh yeah, you're right. It is cold up here, but we're in the central area and like the blowers just blow down on us. So, you know, whatever. But, so I walked faster and I got more steps in. So that kind of worked. And I usually do it on my lunch hour after I've eaten, which works too, because then I burn off a little bit of lunch. So, you know, again, for those of you who have desk jobs who think, there's no way I can do 10,000 steps a day. You're right. If you say there's no way you can do 10,000 steps a day, you're not going to do 10,000 steps a day. It is totally your mindset. It is totally in your control. And if you want to do it, you can do it. As I've stated in previous walk and talks, I've done it. I've been in the ER with my mom at 2 a.m. and I'm like, you know what? I still have 2,000 to go. And well, 2 a.m. No, I'm sorry. I wanted to jumpstart my day because I didn't know when I would get some sleep and if I would get any sleep. And I wanted to at least get as much done as I could since I was wide awake anyway. So I just went around in her little teeny tiny room in the ER. She slept the whole time. It didn't matter to her, you know, and I still kept my goal. So it's all in what you tell yourself that you can do. So you just need to believe in yourself and say, yes, I can do 10,000 steps a day for 1 year in 197 days. And I know sometime in March, it'll be 2 years. So that's all I have today.
I love it. I love it. There's so much packed in there, you know, just starting with the mindset, you know, and it's just, as you say, now it's who you are. You get enough repetition of doing something over and over and over, and you just build it into things. And it's interesting. And I'll be turning it over to Emily here in a second, provided she's interested and available to speak. I think she is. If not, we'll move to the next person. But, you know, we were talking the other day, and, you know, there's a lot of great content out there in podcasts. We listen to a lot of doctors and so forth. And I think we were joking. We said, these are great pieces, but clearly they don't coach anybody, because what they are recommending is not duplicatable. It's not sustainable. So it's like, you know, hey kids, you know, get this whiz bang, you know, machinery and do this, and, you know, redecorate your house and hang from the rafters and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, good grief, you know, this might work for you, dude, but the rest of us are human beings and we've got jobs, and, you know, good luck with that, you know? So, I would say the majority, I mean, before I sat down here for this, I was just hoping it up and down the steps behind me. Okay. So I'm upstairs in kind of an office area. There's steps right behind me. And I was just, you know, doing various things on my phone, and trust me, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. And that includes, you know, going up the steps. And, you know, you do that, you know, a little bit, we get into that zone 2 that Emily did such an awesome job on last week. And, you know, that heart rate's up. I'm at a point where I could hold a conversation, but it would be a little bit of a struggle to hold a conversation. So I'm probably at that percentage of max heart rate. And, you know, and we've got the Peloton, we've got the treadmills, we've got the, you know, gym memberships. And you know where we do most of our stuff, or where I do most of my stuff? On these steps in the house, because that's scalable. Rain, snow, sunshine. If we're up at the cottage, it's pacing back and forth up in the loft area of the cottage. And that is what is sustainable. So, hey, for all these brilliant podcasters out there that, you know, got this crazy equipment going, try coaching some people, then come back and tell me how that's working, you know, because the rest of us have to do something that, you know, is a little bit more sustainable. So, Anyhow, great stuff. Thank you, Kathy. I'm going to swing over to Emily. Emily, if you're available.
Yes, I am. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Hi, Emily.
Saturday.
Hello. All right. So today I want to talk a little bit about protein. My goal is to build a bit more muscle moving forward. So HealthPointe is so brilliant in suggesting snack in protein. And my gosh, that is huge. Because the more I read about protein, the more I'm convinced that, my gosh, protein is essential. I mean, among other things, we have 4 or 5 pillars of health, but food, protein is so essential. So why protein is important? I learned that protein help, of course, to maintain and build muscle mass, but it also keep the blood sugar stable. And we learned from HealthPointe that protein help to maintain hunger, right? And if we don't have enough protein in the body, we end up use muscle for energy, and that's what we don't want, right? And also protein help to regulate hormone. So how much protein do we need? The government guideline out there doesn't recommend enough of protein. So across the board, from different experts in this field, they recommend at least 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight. And for men, it should be a little more. So if you cannot target 1 gram per 1 pound body weight, then at least 0.6 and not lower than that. So what type, I also research, the food that I eat and how much protein. So I give you some example, and the information is out there on the web. They even have a calculator, and you can plug in what type of protein and how many grams. You can figure out how many grams of protein. For example, 2 eggs have 12 grams. 1 scoop of Amway organic protein powder, 21 grams. 2 slices of turkey bacon, 10. 1 can of tuna, roughly about 27. 6 ounces of fish, around 35 to 45. 6 ounces of pork or chicken or beef, roughly around 40 to 60 grams of protein. So that's what I'm learned, and I want to share with you. So go at the protein, and also when we say we want to lose weight, we don't want to lose the muscle, we want to lose the fat. And 20% of population exercise regularly. Another form to build muscle is strengthening exercise, but 80% of the population don't exercise, so let's focus on food, on protein. So that is what I learned.
Fantastic. Golly, guys, we are just getting such, depth of knowledge on key pillars of health. So we're talking about vitamin D and bone health, and I mean, this is, we'll call this the muscle skeletal Saturday, right? We're talking about, and this is all unplanned, unscripted. I mean, Carol and I talked a little bit about the vitamin D, but here we are, kind of covering the muscle skeletal system. So Emily, thank you so much. And, make a note there, guys, that as Emily was going through the number of grams of protein in the various food items that are out there. And this is something that her and I have discussed before, because we were a little bit surprised, quite frankly, at how little net gram of protein there is in some of these, things that you would think you're getting a lot of protein from. And might I add, she said, this delicious little protein shake that I'm holding up and tempting all of you guys on screen with right here, I'm getting my 21 grams. Yeah. But seriously, guys, I have at least one of those per day. And in my case, at not my pre HealthPointe days, I needed more grams than this. We'll just say. But now we'll just say I need around 140 grams. If we use the math that Emily was going through with 1 gram per pound, or even more for men, so I might even need more. So I'm about 140 pounds these days. Not what I used to be, but I'm 140 pounds now. So I need about 140 net grams of protein, and that's a lot of tuna and salmon and eggs and stuff like that, if I want to kind of string that all together. But by often getting at least one of these Nutrilite Organics protein drinks in, it could be in the form of like a pudding that I do, kind of a chia pudding, excuse me, guys, or just a flat out shake or whatever. That's 21 grams. So I just feel real good about getting that proper amount of protein in, because particularly we find, I think all of us can attest to this, as people get older, a lot of times they drop on the amount of protein that they're getting. And so it's real important to get the proper amount in there. So thank you, Emily, that was really valuable. We are going to go, and Loren, I did see your hand raised, so we will get you in here as well. But I would like to, if you'd like to speak, Bruce and Eileen are relatively new to the program, and I would, there we go. Look at you guys.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh, look at you.
We've already had our walk because we have to get up early because we have to be leaving here soon. And we have over 7,000 steps in, which I'm so excited about because I started in August 14th, and I didn't walk at all. So I'm
Way to go, Eileen. You'll be at 10 before you know it.
Yeah. So since I finally hit 10, I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I try to get 10 every day. Well, I do, except for I had a shot in my knee, and that wrecked my little streak. But because you have to wait for 48 hours, you can't do anything. But anyway, this morning I was walking and I'm like, this feels so good. And I just love it now, and I didn't used to. So I just wanted to share that. And I wanted to share one other thing. My big problem has been company. We have so much company in Florida. Crazy. We have company right now. We have different company coming tonight. So I used to think, well, I just have to eat whatever, and I don't. So we are serving lasagna tonight, but I'm making grilled chicken as well, and a salad, and I'm not doing like garlic bread or any of that. And I think they'll be happy. And I don't have to eat it because I have goals now, and I feel really good about it. And I just wanted to share that.
So I'm even newer than Eileen, but appreciate being able to get, the steps on our morning walk, and then during the day, and then sometimes even in the evening. We haven't gotten our steps in yet, so we had a pretty good long walk.
Oh yeah, we have to walk in our house.
Sometimes it's like thunder and lightning, we can't go out, so I'll just walk in the house and back and forth and around the kitchen and so on to get the steps in. Recently had to go to a new belt loop size because my waist is getting a little smaller. So yeah, it's all good. I really have been enjoying the plan.
Oh wow.
And you both have made breakthroughs too. Every 10-pound level, you make a breakthrough, and they each made a breakthrough this week. Another
Yeah.
breakthrough.
Yeah, and I'm almost to 30. I'm getting close.
Good.
Woo, yeah,
Beautiful.
that is awesome. Wow,
Yeah.
that is so great,
And
guys.
that's not even 2 cycles.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have a cycle and then he has a couple weeks. We have it together. So I started August 14th.
Wow. August
Beautiful.
14th, and you're already into, yeah, we kind of use the term DECA, with people that I'm coaching. You're like coming in on a new DECA, you're coming in on
Yeah.
a new DECA threshold, and then bam, and and it's kind of fun. We're like, there's a big psychological difference, if we're coming in on that end of a 4-week part of the 6-week cycle. If somebody's coming in at, I'll just throw out a number at like, 220.4. I'm like, no, get down to 219. I'd rather see 219.8 than 220.4. Let's get into that new DECA.
Yeah, definitely.
So congratulations, guys. You guys are awesome. We love having you on the
Thank you.
call. Thank you so much for contributing here, and hope you have a great rest of your day with your company. And might I add, you guys look sharp. You guys look really, really like a couple. So
Getting ready to do some volunteer work.
We put you guys on speaker and turned off the thing and put the phone upside down to make sure, and we took our showers listening.
awesome. I do similar things. That's so funny. I've never mentioned it, but I'm like, I think I'm off camera. I think everything is good, but I'm going to put this face down just in case.
Just in case. Oh my goodness, yes. Thank you, everyone.
That's awesome. Thank you,
Woohoo.
Bruce and Eileen. All right.
I just want to jump in. I just want to jump in real quick and say, Bruce, I've got to say, in my year in 197 days, probably, and I am not lying, probably at least 60% of my 10,000 steps have been from walking around this house every day. I do not walk the neighborhood for whatever reason. I just don't like to. So you can do it in your house. I've proven that.
Yes.
Great. That's good.
That's for sure, for sure. Well, great. Thank you for that, Kathy. Thank you again, Bruce and Eileen. And Larry, I see your hand up as well. We're going to go quick to Loren. So Loren, you had your hand up if you want to unmute, and great to see you, Loren. Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Okay, let me see if I can unmute here.
You're unmuted. You were unmuted. Now you're muted. Now you're muted, Loren.
There we go. Let's do this one.
Yeah.
What I wanted to point out about the vitamin D3 is it also is an anti-inflammatory, and every cell needs to be using the vitamin D. And without the vitamin D, it can't perform some of its functions. And that includes cholesterol reduction. My brother and I have been getting more information on our cholesterol and taking the cholesterol test, which will give you how much cholesterol, or actually plaque, is in using calcium figures that are in your bloodstream. So consequently, my calcium is extremely high. My brother has had a stent installed, and because of the statin that I'm on, the vitamin D has been proving to be great for reduction in my inflammation. So I'm at 20,000 international units a day just to reduce the inflammation from the statins. And since I've done that, I've lost 6 pounds in weight, which is something that the statins have been adding on to me. So it does work, and it works as an anti-inflammatory for you.
Wow. That's great. And I think there was something that was briefly mentioned last week about that. It's almost like an enabler. The vitamin D is almost like an enabler on other effects in the body and stuff like that. So that is really, really great additional information on vitamin D. And copy that on the cholesterol. And I know I've referenced it before, but if anybody wants to get some real great information on cholesterol and kind of demystifying, HDL, LDL, what's good, what's bad, and what should I really be paying attention to, and what should I really be having. We need to be our own advocates. If we're in that with our primary care physician, it's valuable to be educated so that you can ask intelligent questions, and be that partner with your doctor. And I will tell you, Dr. Robert Lustig, he's basically retired. He comes out of the UC medical system, and he's one of the leading endocrinologists in the nation. And he does a really great understanding on LDL and how, I don't want to get technical here, but just know that in his commentary, he will absolutely be saying you should be paying attention to your triglycerides.
Yes.
Is where it's at. Your LDL. There's this whole understanding: is this a large kind of a puffy particle, or is this a small dense particle? It makes all the difference in the world. And when you just get your general lipid panel, unless you've asked them for it, it doesn't break it down into which what percentage of that LDL is large, dense versus small. It's the small ones that can clog. It's the large ones that don't. I mean, I'm paraphrasing Dr. Lustig, but what is very clear from him is triglycerides, which a lot of people, their triglycerides are too high because they're eating a lot of packaged foods and they're not getting much in the way of omega-3s. Okay. And one of the things with HealthPointe, it can be a rapid switch in that number because we get into the whole foods and away from the packaged foods, which drops your omega-6s, and then we increase our consistent supplementation of the omega-3s with the DHA and the EPA. And you can see your triglyceride numbers correct big time, and the overall ratios be fantastic. So I would highly recommend, YouTube search for Dr. Robert Lustig. He's interviewed left and right. Everybody wants to interview him because he doesn't pull any punches either. This is not a guy that will soft pedal, how he feels about the American Diabetes Association or anything else. And this guy will, he definitely does not pull punches. So thank
Eric?
you very much for that, Loren. Yep, Carol.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, thank you for that explanation of the LDL, HDL, triglyceride. And somebody once years ago, and of course you can tell my right brain here, but if you can get a visual of this, if you see a little truck going through your blood vessels, what that truck is doing is it is lifting out the triglycerides out of your blood. Now, obviously, the less triglycerides, the healthier you're going to have that blood flow and what have you. So if your HDLs are high, there's lots of little truckers going through those veins. And if your triglycerides are not super high, they don't have as much work to do. So kind of a little bit of a visual between the HDL and the triglycerides.
I love that. So many of us are visual learners, or or at least if we hear a story, we remember better than because it creates a mental picture. So that is a great visual. And yeah, it's kind of a demystified things. And one thing that Dr. Lustig says, is he says, why are statins prescribed so much? He says, because they don't have an arrow in their quiver for anything other than LDLs. If they had an arrow in their quiver for triglycerides, they would prescribe that, but they don't. The only arrow they have in their quiver at this point in medical science from a pharmaceutical is a statin, for LDL. So he's not saying don't take them. He's not saying don't take the advice of your doctors. None of us are saying that. None of us.
That's
this
right.
whole thing is we're not prescribing, we're not diagnosing, we're not curing. This is just a lot of people's experiences and so forth. But he just clarifies it. And that's what arms you with enough knowledge to be able to have a good conversation with your doctor. So continuing around the horn, Larry, your hand dropped off, so I don't know that you want to speak or not. If you do, go ahead and let us know. And then also I see something from iPhone 90, I think that's David, so about some vitamin D and K. And then really love to get Hank in here as well. So, but we will go first to Larry. Good morning, Larry.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I've been enjoying the whole conversation, and just want to ask something real quick. I'm probably not going to take much time, but I do want to encourage us to get out there and talk with people. I've had several contacts this week working with people, and people are out there looking for something. And if they're not looking at our program, they're looking at other things. I talked with one lady. She's looking for programs to lose weight, and she's trying to help herself. And that was one of the things that I mentioned. I mentioned that a lot of times I pay attention to what I'm doing to work on my health, but I got stuck. And so I needed some help. And so I didn't recommend to people that they try to do it all by themselves, because I think if we have a little bit of help, then it makes it a little bit easier to do that. But anyway, talk with one lady who's looking at several programs. She tries something that's kind of like Pilates, but it's supposed to help to strengthen you. It works with postures. I'm not sure what it's called. I should have wrote the name down. And also she's looking at Weight Watchers. So that's another program she's looking at. I talked with another person who her doctor had recommended bariatric surgery, but what she ended up doing was taking some of the things, and Carol sent me some information about the what's it, semaglutide and Ozempic. Okay, yep. And so there's some people who are taking those. They've been losing weight. They've got the okay from their doctor, and because they don't have diabetes, they feel like it's a good program, and because they see the weight coming off very quickly. I talked, then I also told you I was working with another young man who didn't feel like he could do anything with his type 1 diabetes. So he's looking at opportunities to improve on his situation, working with type 1 diabetes. And then I also talked with a health professional who highly recommends the different medications that they're giving people, because they believe that if they don't have diabetes and they're getting the results, and they had mentioned that they have seen some people who are taking these drugs and that they look wonderful, and they're not looking at, maybe the complications that could come from that. So I'm just saying that there are people out there, and they're looking for other ways of losing weight, of getting healthy. Many are taking the quick way of doing it. And if there's some way that we can help them and show them healthier lifestyle and program, then we could help them out tremendously. So that's all I had to add, and thanks a lot.
I am so glad you raised your hand, Larry. That is a ton of value there. Look at Larry go, man. He is talking to people, and I just, I will double click on some things here that Larry is talking about. It is true. I will tell you that easily half of the conversations that I have with people, if I interject something about, HealthPointe, blood sugar, whatever, it's like they cling to you. After we wrap up today, Emily and I likely will go to a farmer's market, near East Lansing. And then, we'll be, doing that, but inevitably mix with some people. I would say if I have 4 conversations, at least 2 of them will come around to this subject. So it's, Larry, you're so correct. I'll give you another indication. So I was talking with a guy Guy I've known for a long time. He handles a lot of my what's called PPC campaigns, so pay per click, so for other business and so forth, Google ads and so forth. Let me just give you an idea of things. I was saying, where are things with ads in keyword search for, diabetes and weight loss and stuff like that? He says, Eric, let me give you an idea. So Larry, you were just talking about Ozempic. We've done a segment earlier in the summer about the whole GLP-1 class of drugs. And we talked about how, if you lose 20 pounds, is that 20 pounds of fat, or is that 20 pounds of muscle, or is it 10 pounds of muscle? And according to Dr. Peter Attia, that class of drugs is showing that there's actually a large amount of that weight loss is muscle, which is not what anybody wants.
Right.
So, but if you remember in that segment, I said that I was so surprised by the huge spike in Americans that are interested in this because it's an injection and you're stabbing yourself, right? And so I thought, good grief, I can see people doing that, but I couldn't see like so many people interested in doing it. Well, yesterday I got another data point from my friend and kind of a vendor that does some work for my companies. He said one of their number one performing clients is someone that sells essentially Ozempic. Okay. Their search term, okay, we've all been on Google search, right? You're looking for a car, you search by that. You're looking for a particular tree that you want for landscaping, you search for that. So and every time you do that, there's a record of how many, not you personally, but how many people in the nation or state are searching for that term, right?
Right.
That's how we dictate, how we write our ads and what keywords that we do. You know what their number one keyword search was? Weight loss injections.
Whoa.
Weight loss injections. People are searching in high volume the term weight loss injections. So I don't know, guys, maybe we got to adapt our HealthPointe program and say, it's the best program in the world. And we just, here's a new program. We'll stick you with a needle real quick and just so that you can, we'll do everything else normal and then we'll inject you with something. I don't know. I'm kidding, of course, but apparently there's this huge desire for weight loss injections out there. And it's we've definitely got a better option. We've got a more affordable option. We've got the whole package. Carol, you were saying something?
I wanted to tie right in with what you're saying, Eric, from a totally different stand. I noticed this week, we get a lot of investment emails. I cannot tell you the number of emails that we have had. First of all, it's an hour-long audio or video before you actually get to it. But the bottom line is semaglutide, however you pronounce it, Ozempic. The other one starts with a W. These are magic pills from an investment standpoint. These are investors, and they're saying you can make 800 and some % profit, blah, 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 by buying this stock. And that's what it is. So people are not only being inundated with it on television and everywhere else and on the internet, but also from an investment standpoint. So you know how hard Big Pharma is pushing that. And as Dr. Stuman said at our conference, he was talking to a doctor and the doctor said, Stu asked, when you go off of it, he said, oh, well, you put the weight back on. And it even said that in one of the videos, is that this is something that you stay on. So I wanted to tie that right in because that's really good information, Eric, about the searches.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it just points to the marketplace, and for those of us that are coaching and by golly, we need more coaches, don't we? We need it's like trying to empty the ocean with a teacup, right? We've got to get more and more people that can facilitate and help people. Larry's experiencing it, talking to people, seeing all these people that, and truly, guys, all kidding aside, when they learn about our program, I don't think anybody, with reasonable intellect and what else can I say, they're going to love the option for HealthPointe. One last thing I forgot on the the conversation I had with the gentleman yesterday, he said that's the #1 search, and I said, how's the campaign going right now? He said, we had to stop it. I said, why? They can't keep the product in stock. That's how much they're selling. Okay. And these are not cheap. These are not cheap. This is actually the company, the business owner that he's running. They're running a clinic. People have to book a session and come in there, get their consultation, get the injection and stuff like that. So this is not cheap, certainly compared to say HealthPointe and so forth. Great stuff. David Dassow and then Hank, and we're actually not behind schedule because we actually started a bit of a preamble before I started recording. So we are pretty much on track here, but I'd like to go to David Dassow. You mentioned something about vitamin D and K, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Beautiful Michigan. Love it. Moving on. Well, I can still remember that this is my best Hank Zampa routine. Well, I can still remember it's Council of Responsible Nutrition. And so it's an organization that is of all like supplement companies, is what I am told. So anyways, I heard this person talking, and what they were saying is that as times get tight, especially for mature people, one of the things they first cut back on is their supplements. And this person, based on this organization, that did a research study, and we're not allowed as a supplement company to say, if I take vitamin C, vitamin D, you won't get a cold. So what they did is they researched people who took vitamin supplements and what did that do to their healthcare costs. And so the person was speaking on K2, and he said 1.7% of the population. Now, I don't know if it was the total population or people 55 and older, because he was kind of talking about those people. But that 1.7 of the people had take K2. And he was saying how K2 is also extremely important for coronary artery disease and what it does for you. But and he, in his short little blurb, he said for the 1.7% of the people who take K2, that they have saved $8 billion in healthcare costs. And so anyways, it was just a different twist. When I actually looked at it's like a 20-page article that he's referring to, it goes into other things way deeper than David Dassow. But anyways, the whole thought of, we can't say, take our supplements and you won't get this or that. However, we listen to everybody talk, we hear how healthy everybody is. So this research twisted it to say, if you take supplements, what will happen to your medical bills? Anyways, I found that very interesting. Thank you.
I do think that's very, very interesting and relevant. I so appreciate you chiming in on that, David, because, as coaches, when we're onboarding somebody, money doesn't grow on trees. We talk about what a great value HealthPointe is, and certainly compared to other programs and stuff like that, extremely cost effective. But at the same time, it does cost money, right? And so if we can talk about, hey, could this perhaps give you a future savings in your healthcare costs? And who was it? Somebody said, oh, I think it's Hank. You said, maybe it was quoted by Steve Jobs, that said the most expensive bed he ever slept in was a hospital bed. Okay. I mean, man, is that a gut punch, right? So it's not just about the dollars and cents, but, if you're having, on a path of disease due to, diabetes or blood sugar or so forth, it's not only the dollars and cents, but also just, that expensive hospital bed, expensive, not only dollars and cents, but also emotions and lifestyle and so forth. And one last thing, I'll just key in on the cost part of HealthPointe. Routinely in my presentations to someone that's just learning about HealthPointe, I'll cover the typical reduction in your monthly food expenditure. Okay, your average reduction in the amount of money that you spend on food. Two categories. I won't eat up time here. Do your own research. How much does the average American spend on any kind of dining out in a month? How much dining out? That would be like lunches, dinners, and stuff like that. And then the second thing is, what is the average grocery bill? Now, if you look at how, when we shop on a HealthPointe program, what we buy and compare that to a typical grocery bill, we clock in, Emily and I personally, back of the envelope math, 20-30% reduction in monthly food expenditures. 20 to 30% reduction. Trust me, that pays for everything and more. And we get the benefit of great health. So there's an absolute argument to be made about the financial wisdom of the HealthPointe program. And now we've got, this additional one. Thank you, David Dassow, on this, your healthcare.
Very fast. I have a blue collar customer, and for 3-4 years, he takes double X and omegas, and he takes it so he can use his sick days to go up north.
Love
love
it. Love it. Lifestyle.
Oh man, you did it again, David. That is so clippable. You just been clipped.
We have the walking queen and the clip king.
We're just going to have an entire Voices of HealthPointe YouTube playlist that just says David Dassow, and it's just all the clips of David Dassow. That is so awesome. I love it. All right. Well, hey, last but certainly not least, and is Hank, if Hank is available. Always so awesome to hear from Hank and kind of wrapping us up. So hello, Hank. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Great session as always, doing a great job. And I just love listening to all of you. I cannot talk enough about vitamin D. It's been talked enough a lot, but I've been taking five of those tablets a day for many years. And I just swear by it. If I feel something coming on, I'll increase the vitamin D, because that with the K2 and everything else that's in there, it's an awesome, awesome product. Especially if you live in the north part of the country, you got to make sure you're getting that, because besides that, I got 20 minutes a day of sunshine on top of it. So vitamin D is not going to hurt you. It's got to do nothing but benefit you. Now, one last thing I want to touch on, I want to introduce a new topic here real quickly. As people get up in years, as they mature, okay, not get old, they mature, they do it right, and they get joint pain, right? Joint. And I want to talk quickly about our joint health. There's a lot of joint health products on the market. Yes, they have glucosamine chondroitin in there. That's what they all have. But they're missing one ingredient that ours has. Besides the vitamin C that's in ours, also something called boswellia. What is boswellia? Boswellia is a natural herb that's one of the greatest inflammation fighters out there. It's an herb. It's not a medication. And I'll tell you, it really fights inflammation, because all these situations start with inflammation in the gut. We know that, right? 70% of it. But eventually it goes to the rest of your body if you don't have a way to control it. And boswellia fights inflammation. I've been taking 4 tablets a day, like it says right on the product, or the product right here, okay? And it says two tablets at a time, twice a day. And you got 240 tablets in this bottle. And if we can take 4 of those a day, that's 2 months worth, right? 6 into 240. Okay, I mean, 4 into 240 is 60. So you got 2 months worth in this bottle with the product called boswellia. We are in my 90s, no joint pain, okay? Because it's an awesome product that I will not do without, and I swear by it. So that's my input for today, guys. Good to see all of you. You're doing all a great job. Love you guys.
Thanks, Hank.
Thank you, Hank. That's how many not 90-year-olds, how many 80-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds can make the same statement that Hank just said about no joint pain. And just such a remarkable leader and example. And I just love hearing from you, Hank. We all do. We thank you. And yes, that joint health product is, hey, you're doing 10 to 15,000 steps a day. You're going up and down stairs. You're doing everything right. Make sure your joints are healthy and feeling great. So, guys, this has been, out of the park again. And those of us in Michigan will grab our umbrellas and go out for the rest of the day. The rest of you in other parts of the country that are experiencing much better, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll get this turned around and up on the Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel as quickly as possible. And if there's nothing else, then we'll put a wrap on this, and we'll see everybody next Saturday, same time, same place. Have a great Saturday. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Have a great weekend.
See
Go
ya.
Red Wings.
Bye-bye.
Bye.